Now, these events often create something else. So the event is going on and other things are going on under the surface. Important information is being exchanged and that sort of thing. But Friday night for me was truly extraordinary because I just sat down at the meal table and I got a text, and the text was telling me that this lady, Georgia Pouliquen, was in trouble in France. She was being put under pressure by the French police, and there was a need to see whether we could get Georgia out of France and back to, well, here to UK. And a number of individuals were extremely kind and took action very, very quickly. The result was that Georgia duly arrived in London and was picked up by a gentleman called Dave and driven all the way up here so that she could not only One, two, three, four, five. Okay, so a number of people were very, very kind, and they took action in order to get Georgia here, not only in England, wonderful England, but also at this event, where, of course, apart from being amongst friends, she had the opportunity to talk and to give her story about what's been happening in France with the Yellow Vests. Now, before I get her onto the stage, because I know you don't want to hear me speak, but I just wanted to say that one of the things that really annoys me is the arrogance of people who say that because you say the European Union is a bad political organization, suddenly you don't like the French or the Germans or the Dutch or anybody else living on continental Europe. And this, of course, is outrageous and it's wrong, because I have lived for 2 years in Holland. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had Dutch friends, German friends at that stage. I've been on holiday in France. I have French friends. And so this political arrogance by the Conservative and Labour governments to say that anybody that criticizes the dictatorship that's the European Union is also anti-French or anti-German, it's an insult, and we've got to stop this. Georgia. About a month ago, she came over to England. Well, in fact, gentleman Dave Barmby paid for Georgia to come over to England in order to do an interview for the UK column about what was happening with the Yellow Vests in France. So she travelled all the way up from Limoges, came across on the ferry to Plymouth, and Georgia, quite rightly, nervous. She's put her head well above the parapet. She's got a lot of people following her. She's spoken out on what's happening in France. She travelled all the way to England. She'd never been to England before. She was met by men she's never met before. and then taken off to her house in order to do an interview. And she was a little bit nervous about that, but she did a brilliant job. So we've got an interview, a little bit of work needed to finish it off, but a really fantastic interview where she is talking about what's happening in France. So that sits in the background. Tonight, Georgia's here, and she's going to tell you firsthand what is happening with the yellow vests in France. It is horrific, and part of her message when she spoke to me originally was, you in England need to know what's happening in France, because if you are not careful, it's going to be happening here. Georgia.
Okay.
I will do if you need anything, I'll do that.
And this one? Okay.
Comment ça va? Tu sais comment ça va?
Ça va très bien. Bonjour à tous. Hello. Hello. Thank you for welcoming me. And thank you for the yellow vests. I know. Yay! 5, 6 yellow vests. So I'm Georgia. So I'm French. I am here by surprise. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I want to thank you to be there. I know it's very late. So I'm going to try to explain you what I say about what I know about yellow vest. And excuse my English, because I'm a little nervous. So so excuse me for advance. And you know, I am a Briton. You know Brittany? Okay, so with English people, we are not very. So I love English people, and I feel safe here. Not in my country at this time, but here I feel safe and happy. So thank you. So I'm going to begin with the story with English people, because you know I am a yellow vest, and I have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, and with some friends we try to inform French people and to awake them about what happened around them, because they are totally naive, and so step by step we do that. We've been doing that since 6 months now. Every Saturday we go to demonstrate in Paris, and there are a lot of some YouTubers who help them we give them advices, and we try to help them to be more aware of what happened, and more we can see that that works, and these people want to be citizens again. They were passive, and now they want to be active, because we are there to help them to think about what happened, and to have a debate between them and with us. I realized that that was in my country. We have no media like you. Media are corrupted, you know. And I wonder why, what the other countries know about our country, and what. And Sweden, you know, from a man from Sweden told me that when he went to Google France, demonstration in Paris, and he found anti-Semitism, you know, a lot of fake news about what happens in Paris. So I decided to make a video in English language in order to try to propagate the news about France everywhere. And one day, a friend of Brian called Dave Barnby, he saw my videos in England, and he was touched by what I say. And I would like to begin with this video, so you will feel what he felt when he saw me. Excuse me, because it's not professional, you know, but I'll let you see that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Georgia Pouliquen. I'm a French lawyer. I am 45 years old. I have been a lawyer for 22 years, and I am a yellow vest. I want to provide a testimony from France to the world about massive domestic repression in my country, France, and violence of our government against us, civilian, peaceful protesters, so-called yellow vests. I want to testify about what really happens in my country, because French media lie and propagate fake news in order to mislead you. Yellow vests are a peaceful, massive, non-political movement which protests about violent policy in France against poor workers, deprived persons, poor elderly people, disabled persons, especially children. That's not about fuel prices, fake news. That's about a president which hurts vulnerable people and intentionally impoverishes workers, destroys our country, our jobs, our educational system, our health system. Yellow vests are a humanist movement, a beautiful movement, and now we suffer massive domestic repression, and the only reason is that we want to protect our children, our future, our humanity, our dignity. This is about freedom, and government commit violations of fundamental human rights here in France. French police are equipped with guns, so-called defense ball launchers, often called flashballs, so-called less lethal weapons. Flashballs against civilian people. Projectiles. A lot of peaceful protesters have lost an eye after being hit by these dangerous projectiles, including young people, and that's illegal. For example, Fiorina. Fiorina, 20 years old. She lost her eye. Frank, 20 years old. He lost his eye. Jean-Marc. He lost his eye. Alas. He lost his eye. And this victim he lost his eye. And this victim and this victim. What danger did this girl, Fiorina, pose to deserve this? And that's not an accident. This is an illegal, systematic police practice. French police have caused numerous injuries, disfigurations, made them handicapped for the rest of their life, made them fall into a coma or die. Peaceful protesters, high school students, senior citizens, journalists have been among the victims. You can see these pictures on the website, French website Désarmons-les, which means in English, let us disarm them. That's not crowd control. That's a massive and bloody repression. And French government try to hide the truth. French police detain illegally peaceful protesters in spite of a lack of infringement and violent them. I testify that French police violent people without any indictment. For example, they locked a protester in a cell, handcuffed with a motorcycle helmet on the head, with no right to cancel, no right to make a phone call, no right at all. Justice, French justice, protect these violations. We have no rights anymore. We are isolated, endangered. We have no news. All media provide fake news, false accusations of violence against us, false accusation of anti-Semitism in order to discredit this movement. This movement is not politic. I am a lawyer. I am a yellow vest. I am peaceful. I am not anti-Semite. I am not homophobic. I am not a criminal. I like my country. I am a patriot. I have been a military woman. I have served my country. Now I am a lawyer, a humanist, and I want to tell you that all yellow vests citizens are peaceful and humanist as I am. Our government lie to you. Our government lie to the world. You need to know the truth, and we need you to propagate truth all around the world. Because we need you. We need you to propagate the truth. We need you. Because soon it could be your turn. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. So I did this video 3 or 4 months ago, and you know, I talked about a woman who was violated by police. She was not in police custody, and she didn't make anything wrong, and police put her in a cell after you know, violating her. They put them in a cell with a motorcycle helmet on the head. And you know, yes, and the person, this woman, stayed a long time. She asked for a lawyer or a phone call. She didn't get She didn't have these rights. And she was crying under the helmet. And some hours after that, a doctor, because when you ask for a doctor, there police have to call the doctor, and that's what yellow vests are living now in Paris and in France. You know, and you can guess that this woman, it was me. It was me. So that's mentally torture, you know, and I think that you have to know that yellow vests and citizens who demonstrate peacefully are treated like criminals without any rights, without any fundamental rights, and we are totally totally without. You know, the law is not respected anymore in France. Justice is not independent anymore. Emmanuel Macron has the control of the 3 powers, you know, the executive powers, the legislative powers, and the judiciary power, and the 4th power, the media. And when the separation of powers is abolished, that's one name for this, dictatorship. So we live in France in a dictatorship without name it. You have to know that, because it's over. 1 month ago, he passed a law, Macron passed a law to prevent us to demonstrate in the streets. Now it's an offense, a law against our constitution, freedom of assemble, you know. So now when we as YouTubers and we leaders of yellow vests, but that's not the exact word, we act separately, like, you know, military strategy. We can't meet each other in other like this, because police and government look for this to catch us in the same place. because we don't have freedom of assembly anymore. And there is no justice. Just judges, and not only prosecutors, judges are not independent anymore, and they condemn yellow vests to jail, to prison, just for demonstrating, and they let the real criminal go away, like pedophile, like rappers, like so there are some places for yellow vests, and we feel that we innocent people are in prison, and criminals are in the government now. And they don't hide it. That's normal for them now. So we are now in a dictatorship, and I'm going to go on for my presentation. That's important to explain why I'm here, because there aren't a lot of leaders or counselors for yellow vests. My father was a colonel of gendarmerie. In France we have two police forces. You have civilian police nationale, and on the other side we have military police, that's gendarmerie nationale. They are militaries. My father was a gendarme, an officer, and my grandfather was a gendarme, and I've been a gendarme as a reservist every weekend for 4 years. And I think that's why I can be there today, because I'm not, I'm not a yellow vest. I have, in my mind, I have to be a soldier, because if I can't be strong, it will be over for us. It will be over for us. We had some spokesmen, some leaders, and they disappeared. A lot of them disappeared because they want to make a political career now, and the other, they stopped 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now we are some YouTubers, but we don't go on mass media. The spokesman they went to mass media like BBC here, and us, we didn't want to go to mass media. We wanted to be independent and to be, that's integrity, that's straight, and that's why now we are the only persons, because we have a lot of followers, yellow vest followers, and they trust us. And that's a big responsibility. And when police tried to coach me 3 days ago, I decided to go away in England because I can't be arrested. Because if I am arrested, all my followers will be desperate. We have nothing, we are totally isolated. So that's a big responsibility, and some of you told me that I am a brave person, but yellow vests are brave persons, And you are brave persons. You brave people. That's not me, that's you. That's us. You know, that's us. We are against these dictators everywhere in Europe. And I have to say, we are responsible in France of what happens in Europe a little bit, because we elected Emmanuel Macron. I didn't. I didn't vote for him. I didn't. But he is our president and we have to assume it. But we are responsible for that, and we have to fight against what he wants to do. And I think you guess what he wants to do. In France, he wants to establish a dictatorship. I think that's the case. And now he wants to be what? The president of European Union. That's obvious. That's obvious. Because for the campaign for the European elections, he made a video clip, not for France, but for Europe. Maybe you saw this video clip, unfortunately for you, because it's stupid. It's stupid. It's little birds and it's magical Europe. And he subtitled this video clip in 26 languages. So for Europe, for all Europe, and he made a campaign for Europe to become the president of this military superstate. That David told about that yesterday. That will be a superstate, a military superstate, but it's not against USA or Russia. It's against us. You know, it's against European people. That's not. And this army, these soldiers, they are. In this time, they are in Paris too. They are in Paris. Macron is training this army in Paris because they are not our policemen. No, sometimes it's our policemen, but sometimes it's not. And you will see on the picture. So I know. So that's we need to be brave, and that's why I wanted to tell you. Yellow vest, why yellow vest? Because that these people want to be visible now. And President Macron, all presidents, I think, in Europe, ignore them, ignore people, despite them. And this time they wanted to be visible, and they tried to find a uniform. They want to be proud of them, and they decided to take this uniform, and you know, that's a way to protect us. When you wear a uniform, you are more strong. You are stronger, excuse me. So, you know, Fiorina, you know, I told about her because she lost her eye. And that's the girl, she's 20. And that's the girl who convinced me when I saw that to be very involved in this cause. Because it could have been me, or your daughter, or your granddaughter, 20, and her life is broken, you know, and that totally, this beautiful girl, because of President Macron, and you know, policemen don't aim rioters. They aim peaceful people intentionally on the head, and it's totally prohibited. Totally prohibited. But, you know, young people, a lot of young people lost an eye. You know, there are not a lot of deaths or dead persons, but that is horrible. She's a girl, and she, you know that. And when I saw that, I think it would have been me when I was 17 and I was in demonstrations for our high schools, because they were in a dreadful state when I was 27, and I was in the streets and we were safe in the streets. Now that's a police state with a political police, you know, and I was 17, and that's me. You know, that's me in the newspaper. And if Macron would have been there, maybe I lost my eye. And I felt that it's not possible to accept that. It's not possible to accept that. And that's me. The yellow vest in Paris on Champs-Élysées, like every Saturday. I'm not every Saturday over there, but because I'm a YouTuber and I have a lot of things to do. But that's, we have a destiny, I think. We have destiny, I think. So yellow vests, you know, are peaceful people. They are just you and me. They are not rioters. They are not violent. You know, these people, that's you and me, women, men, old people, young people, and they are, you know, smoker. You know that. So, you know, and the Arc de Triomphe behind. That's why I want to tell you that we are peaceful, and these people are hit and are injured by policemen in France. And for the first time, we, in a movement, a civilian movement, there are a lot of women. And that's a rare fact, because in the other demonstration in history, except for suffrage, you know, to get the vote to election, there were a lot of men in demonstration. And in this movement, there are a lot of women. Why? Because they can't feed their children anymore. That's why they are on the streets. And that's totally, you know, that's the only reason, because that's not a question of taxes on fuel. That's a question of living decently with decency. And they can't feed their children anymore. So that's very profound. That's not, they had no choice. That's why this movement won't stop. Because we have no choice. We can go back now because we have no choice. That's a survival movement. You know, it's to survive for their children, for the future of our children, and these women, they are very brave, you know? Yeah. They are brave. No. In front of policemen with war guns, you know, that's a specificity of our movement. And you say, some people ask me how many are the yellow vests, and you can see that there are a lot of people in the streets and on the computers, on the net, because everybody can't go to the demonstration because you can be sick or you can be. But there are a lot of people in France. 17 people in the polls don't support Macron. So we are a massive movement. And when you hear the fake news, we are a little movement of anti-Semitism, homophobic rioters, and and you can see that that's you and me. That's you and me, and that's well, peaceful. We are peaceful. That's beautiful, and you know, behind them, you know. That's my favorite picture because you know what? That's love and hate behind them. Fraternity, you know. In France we have devise. We have liberty, freedom, equality. Fraternity, yes, and that's fraternity. And this movement, we recreated fraternity because before the movement, people were individualists. They didn't want to talk each other. You know, you don't know your neighbors. You go on your road and you don't. And now we began to talk to each other for the first time. They tried to destroy this fraternity, but that's an effect, a surprise, because now. Because of Macron, he recreated fraternity. Yes, yes. That's beautiful, no? It's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's sad. I'm sad when I see that, but that's fraternity. Oh, so the criminal, you know, and you can see the details. They are not the same. Uniform. You can see that some of them have a uniform, well, and jeans, you know, jeans, helmet. They are totally masked, so you can't see if this man are a policeman or not. But you can't ask them their card, the service card, and they have no. Badges or serial service, and some of them don't speak French. East language, languages from east of Europe, you know. So it's maybe the new European army in this, and they have. LBD launcher ball defense, and they wear war guns. You will see. And now you are going to see what they say. Those war guns in Nancy, France, east of France. You know, that's war guns. That's assault weapons. You know, and look at this picture. It's in the streets of Nancy. And here, a baby. They are in the streets with war guns, and you can see a mother who is worried, who worried, and a baby. That's a police state. It's a police state. That's in France. So, with the flashballs, the launch flashballs, the LBD, the launcher ball defense, A lot of people lost an eye, and they were not rioters, peaceful people. That's hard to see. That's hard to see. This weapon, LBD, launchable defense, you know, and it's in Paris. You know, it's in Paris, and you can see gas because they launch grenades, sting ball grenades, I think, gas. And sting ball grenades, and yeah, there are two types, two sort of grenades. Maybe the man can help me. I don't know. We have grenades with gas and grenades who explodes. Okay, and yeah, tear gas grenade. Yes, of course, yes, and. So the LBD launch, and they aim yellow vests who are not rioters, you know, with and they shoot at them, and you know that the smoker he's here, and they what this why you know it's in the streets of Paris. And this policeman, in Adidas vest, he aims a journalist. See what? See this. Watch this.
Je suis journaliste. Vous me laissez bosser. Je suis journaliste. Baisse ça. Baisse ça. Je suis journaliste. Tu baisses ça. Oh, j'ai le droit d'être là. J'ai le droit de faire mon boulot. D'accord?
He said he's a journalist. He's a journalist. I'm a journalist. You don't have the right to do that. You know, it's totally crazy, totally shocking, you know. And another picture, and that's a young man. He played tambourine in the street. That's his crime. He plays tambourine, and we know him. And no words. You know what they do to French people, and this is a woman. I think this is a woman. And just a little bit of the injured people. We have 3,000 of injured people. Maybe 22 persons who lost their eye, and a lot of fractures, skull fractures. So, no word about this. Another one. I saw you this. You know, people, more older people, and what they say. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. And that's very shocking. But I wanted you to see that. 2 weeks ago, Saturday in Paris. No, he's threatened him with the LBD, but that's terrible. But that's not the worst that you will see tonight. As a Britain flag. Alors, yes, gas, grenade, thing, ball grenade with gas grenades. And that's the problem with this gas, because it's not lacrymal gas. There a lot of yellow vests and some policemen made analysis of blood, search, and there are a lot of poison inside. Yes, poison. I don't know the word in French. Cyanure, that's a poison. Yes, and nanoparticle and some other poisons, chemical. That's chemical weapons. That's chemical products, and these chemical weapons. This gas is classified internationally as a war weapon, a chemical weapon. And we don't know if in 5 years, 10 years, it won't create a cancer. So maybe what you see, that's maybe, because you have a helicopter who fly under Paris, on Paris, and they launched gas. And maybe, you know what it is? Maybe it's genocide.
It is.
Maybe it's a genocide. War crimes. Maybe. And you have a policeman who had on the streets a heart attack. I think because the gas is for him too, for them too. Yes, and so
They're such cowards.
Yes, such cowards. Yes, that's it. And no, the gas everywhere. So even policemen, they yes, it's totally stupid. And that's the grenades. When we took the grenades on the ground, and you have some numbers on it, and you can't you can identify the grenade. And this one, a lot of gas everywhere, and that's not rioters. That's yellow vests and there another grenade. I know I have the picture. It's the number is the serial CS. You know what it is, so you know what it is. And someone can explain what it is, because what is CS? Yes, and when they used CS in history, Kosovo. Yes, that's a war weapon, a chemical weapon, and that's a chemical weapon in Paris. So this woman, it was 1 month ago in Nice, at Nice in France, south of France. There was a terrorist attack in Nice too, 3 years ago. This woman, aged, she's not dead. 74, age 74, and that was the first time that she was with some other people she had 2 flags and yellow vests, and they decided, and you can hear on the video the order to charge these people, and one policeman charged her with his shield, and I think he I don't know the word. Yes, kick. 5 times, 5 times. All his here was broken. Yes, and that's not the only thing. Street medics aid volunteers. They try to attend to her, to help her, and policemen prevent them to help her. So she stayed 20 minutes with blood like this. And they put the street medics on police custody. Another person. Grenade. And you can see and what this liquid, yes, water cannon, but it's not water. But when on the ground, it's green. It's green.
C'est pas eux là, c'est pas eux, c'est pas eux.
Mais c'est le même pas, c'est pareil. Vous imaginez, vous bafouez l'uniforme et votre fonction première. C'est inadmissible. Et en plus, vous attaquez aux Antilles. C'est dingue. Vous êtes dingue et vous acceptez ces ordres de merde. Vous êtes même plus.
Okay, so another big. That's not the good order, but you see this woman, aged woman. And they didn't help her. That's the worst, I think. Policemen, that's young students, high school students. You know, they put them in this position, you know, like criminal. That's a traumatism. And you know, that's police. In France, you know, that's police. And imagine what this young boy were thinking at this moment. It makes me think to Nazis, you know. Near Paris, in suburban. So, and I talked about Nazis. So, you know what it is? That's a slogan in state of Vichy in 40s during the World War II. La France en marche, France walking, was a slogan of Maréchal Pétain. That's, you know, the president of the state of Vichy during the World War II. And this is, you know, this man, Emmanuel Macron. He took the slogan of Maréchal Pétain and state of Vichy. So you can't imagine. You can imagine what it's. And we have a newspaper, a famous newspaper in France, Le Monde. the world. And some journalists had the courage to make a cover. They took the same, that's a real newspaper here, and they took the color code of Nazis, red and white and black, and they compared him to Hitler. So, and that's for you. The end.
Well done. Brilliant.
Thank you. Oh, I have something to read. It's very short.
Yes, okay.
That's my, to finish. I have something to read to you. You know George Orwell? Yeah. You know I'm Georgia. And you know what he said, maybe. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say that the courage for Georgia to come over here, she's self-taught English, so to stand on the stage and talk about such terribly important things, huge courage, and I know she said that courage is also in the yellow vests, but nevertheless, this lady has done it. So let's give her a proper round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
Now, I feel a little bit guilty because we've got to the end of a weekend where there's been a lot of information, and some of it's been very tough to absorb. And I know that tonight everybody was beginning to relax and get that social enjoyment, and suddenly, wham. Well, this wasn't planned, but we thought it was so important that Georgia was able to get her message across. Now, I just want to say to you that in the talks we've had, and probably particularly David Ellis, he was talking about EU Defence Union, which Theresa May has been stitching together while she has been lying to the British nation that we have been leaving the EU. What is the significance of that EU Defence Union? It is that it not only includes military and our nuclear weapons and our defence industry and procurement and taxes and a treasury and the security services and GCHQ, it also includes police. And so when you see in these pictures, these terrible pictures, what these brutal police are prepared to do, the Conservative government and Labour before them have already signed British police into this system. And in the background, unknown to the majority of the British public, British police have been going on joint training courses to prepare for this sort of activity. The young boys who were kneeling, you might not have picked up the significance, but they were kneeling and having to keep their bodies upright against the wall. That's a stress position. It's actually immensely painful, and it's one of the favorite quasi-torture techniques that are used by the special forces when they do their own training. So the positions those young boys were in is technically called a stress position, but if you hold it long enough, you end up with cramps in your legs. It's immensely painful. It's torture, actually. Our country has signed into this system. It is not a question that in the future there may be an EU army. Theresa May's Conservative government has already signed into EU Defence Union, which means that our armed forces, Navy, Army, Air Force, are already signed into this, and the police. So we are at a very, very dangerous phase. The violence has been created, and the state is persecuting people in France. They would love to get the violence going here. This is one of the reasons why UK Column, but of course Ian himself, we're saying we must not get involved in the violence, because that enables them to trigger this sort of response. We must not end up with communities fighting each other, because that would enable them to trigger this response. The most powerful weapon we have is effectively to say no, we're not having it, and to withdraw support from the government. And this is so easy to do. But if we don't take action to stop this, the dictatorship, which is the European Union, is already in place. Now, what does Georgia want us to do? All she wants us to do is help, she used the word propagate, spread this information, is to get out and tell other people what's happening in France and warn them about what EU Defence Union is, and to warn people that unless we do something, this is coming to us without question. How can we spread the word? Well, we've got lots of ways. We can talk, we can write letters, we can make videos, we can post things. How many people are on Twitter? Just a few. Now, I'm amazed at this, but why do I think a lot of people are not on Twitter? Fear. Twitter, immensely powerful. And that is why President Trump is using it. Okay? Immensely powerful. Just because it's Twitter doesn't mean to say what goes out has to be nonsense. If you put out images, including images of text, that is extremely powerful, and you can reach thousands and thousands and thousands of people pretty quickly. If you choose to go on Theresa May's Twitter page, you can be posting in front of, I think it's about 800,000 people. So my advice is, action conquers fear, get onto the social media, start posting and spreading. If you feel nervous, don't put your name and your face. We do. We don't care. They already know who we are, so we don't care. But get onto Twitter and start pushing this information around, because the speed it moves is fantastic. Get onto the MPs' Twitter pages. Reply to their tweets. Post the information. Challenge them. Ask them why they're not doing things. And don't stop. If you don't get answers, continue to push them. It's so vital that we do this, because all the machinery for what you're seeing here is already set up and ready to go in this country. Yeah? I'm not going to say any more, because I think we need to also enjoy the rest of the evening. But this lady has said absolutely what needs to be said. It's happening in France. If you, the British, don't wake up and see what's coming, it's going to be here. That's it. Thanks very much.
And if you want to make a network with French people and German people, and so you can use my email address, because we are going to create a website, independent web TV in English and in French, and to have. And you can write me on my email address, and that's georgia.pouliquen. At gmail.com. Sorry, Gmail. So you can remember that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Ian has very kindly given me the responsibility of closing the evening. So I'm going to say once again, round of applause for Ian and everything he's done. And I'm also going to say good night to the live viewers. Thank you very much to everybody who's come in via the web. It's been great to have you here, even though we haven't seen you. But well done for joining this event. And if you have enjoyed the remote viewing of Alternative View 10, can we ask that perhaps you consider coming to the next Alternative View, but certainly passing the word out. But thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
You forgot to tell about my UK Lamestream interview.
No.